When you think about the Cincinnati Bengals and their wide receiver room, the first three guys that should come to mind are Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. All three of those players have been special for them over the last few years, and Chase is one of the best young receivers we have ever seen. While the Bengals have definitely stacked up weapons for Joe Burrow, they weren't done adding weapons this past offseason. They ended up drafting both Charlie Jones from Purdue and a kid by the name of Andrei Iosivas from Princeton. He was one of those picks that was completely glossed over, but right now, he's looking like one of the biggest steals in the draft. Through 2 preseason games, he's already been targeted 20 times. The Bengals coaching staff has been constantly raving about his talent, and with his world-class sprinting speed, he looks like someone who could be a weapon for the team for years to come. But the craziest part about him is his story. At one time, he was a 0-star recruit who headed over to the Ivy League to play for Princeton. His chances of making the NFL were slim to none, but after a great career there, he found his way into the NFL, and in today's video, I want to talk about his story. We're going to go through how he got to this point, why the Bengals love him so much, and how it all happened. But before we get started, quickly be sure to leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new and love college football content, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I could cover next. Now let's get started and talk about Andrei Iosivas. So going back in time, he grew up in Honolulu, Hawaii, and was never really supposed to make it in football, but his speed would always help give him a chance. As a kid, he spent his childhood playing Madden, and he always created a player named after himself and would put himself on the Colts. He became somewhat of a local legend for his speed, and this story is honestly very similar to Michigan's Roman Wilson. If you don't know who he was an insane Hawaii track runner as well, who became a 4-star wide receiver and is now a big-time draft prospect with the Wolverines this fall. Andrei ended up going to Punahou High School, and at first was a complete JV afterthought, but he would eventually start to figure it out despite the narrative. He said, quote, "I was always kind of a football player who did track. I feel like some people confused me as a track guy who played football, but it was the other way around." Andrei's dream was Stanford, as academics were a major priority to him and his family, but with a lack of production at high school, playing in the Power 5 was a tall task. Fun fact, both DeForest Buckner and Manti Te'o also went to this same high school. That didn't stop Andrei though, as he would end up attending a camp at Stanford, where Princeton's assistant coach first saw him and told him that Princeton would have a place for him. He eventually realized he couldn't turn down playing for the Tigers, and after visiting Princeton, Brown, Yale, and Dartmouth, he did go with the Tigers. It also helped that his father had a business partner who was a Princeton graduate, and the Tigers coach said, quote, "We were pretty aggressive trying to convince him that this was where he should be." At the time, he had Olympic potential, but with him going off to Princeton to play football, some were worried he'd be wasting his track potential. Those who were around him, though, knew he could blossom into a top-tier wide receiver, as they had the proper offense and he had the proper potential. When he arrived at Princeton in 2018, the team went 10-0. That year he was developed and only played with JV. Their coach said, quote, "He was raw and needed a bit of time his freshman year. I remember his sophomore year, he started to take off. In 2019, he'd finished with 18 catches for 263 yards and 4 touchdowns. In 2020, there was no season due to everything going on in the world. This was tough for him. In 2021, Andrei would end up having another breakout season. In 2021, Andrei would have his breaking out moment as he caught 41 passes for 703 yards and 5 touchdowns. It didn't stop there though, as this past season, he put himself on the NFL radar with 66 receptions for 943 yards and 7 touchdowns. The team only played in 10 games, and he helped them to an 8-2 record. It did take 4 years for Andrei to become a dominant college football player, but he's somebody who kept improving and then became a big-time NFL draft prospect. His track ability attracted NFL scouts, and after being a 3-time Ivy League champion and being a first-team All-Ivy League selection, he was gaining a lot of hype. He was also an All-American at the 2022 Indoor Track Championship, as he posted the fastest ever 60-meter time in the NCAA heptathlon. Some experts compared him to Packers star receiver Christian Watson due to the similarities of their speed and them coming out of FCS program. Iosivas was drafted by Cincinnati in the 6th round with the 206th overall pick. The Bengals' interest in him was no secret, as they spent a lot of time with him throughout the draft process. It was, however, a huge surprise that he was still available this late in the draft. With T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase already on the roster, plus fellow rookie Charlie Jones, it seemed he was just more of a stash pick and probably wouldn't translate to the next level. But Good Morning Football had this to say. Wide receiver 6th round pick burner. This wide receiver, and I'll tell you from good sources, has been turning heads at camp. This is one of the most loaded wide receiver rooms in the league, but here we go. That was before preseason football started, and since then, as I said, he's gotten 20 total targets. In their Week 1 loss against Green Bay, he ended up having 10 targets and also was playing on both punt and kickoff returns. Before these last 2 games, he was seen as a fringe 53-man roster kind of player, but right now, he'll probably be that 5th wideout on the team. He'll need to keep playing on special teams, but it's pretty clear that he's not just a former track player and not just someone who's a project. He's someone that can help the Bengals right away as they're trying to compete for a Super Bowl, and he just makes this offense even more scarier. To many, this was unbelievable. He was a 0-star recruit coming out of Hawaii, went to a school not known for producing NFL talent, and was taken in the 6th round. Only 9 former Ivy League players began the 2022 season on active rosters, and Iosivas is trying to change the narrative around the Ivy League and hopefully make a career for himself. But only time will tell how he'll actually do, but for now, he's got a great story, and he's someone everyone is talking about. But what do you guys think? If you're a Bengals fan, what do you think of Andrei Iosivas? What player should I cover next? And before you go, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my other videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.